leader as Parliament reconvened yesterday after their quite lengthy sabbatical, I should say. I've been joined this morning by Professor Isaac Boedi of the University of Professional Studies in Accra. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Always a delight to have you on our set. I hope all is well.
All is well. We can't complain. Once you're alive, we must be here. Good morning to my good friend, Doc.
Right. Doc, Doc, good morning to your good self.
Good morning,
I hope you're fine.
I'm doing very well. I wasn't so well for some time now, but I'm fine now.
Yeah. One thing that our viewers don't know, Doc comes all the way from Kufuridia every Wednesday to be on the show with us.
Yeah.
And we do not take that commitment, for granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's because of Pan-African TV, because of our viewers that they always find the time to move all the way from Kufuridia to
4 a.m.
And if you don't leave it, if you don't move early, the traffic that you face. So he leaves home very early by 4. He's up. He's on his way actually
to this place.
Yes, to this
thank
place.
you.
Prof, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So grateful.
Right. Without further ado, as usual, as typical of Pan-African television, we are the only station that does that. By the way, we always dedicate our first story to an African conversation, apart from Ghana. And so this morning, we have discussed Sudan ad nauseum. We've discussed Sudan repeatedly. It has almost become cliche. The last over a year, I think about 18-19 months, there's been fighting between the Rapid Support Forces and the Sudanese military. There's a power struggle, I should say. If you look at the numbers involved, as in people who have been killed as a result of this war, people who have been even internally displaced, people who have to even leave Sudan entirely to seek refuge in other countries. It's quite on the high. It's about the most disturbing issue in the world right now, except that I should say it hasn't been given that sort of credence. It hasn't been given that international attention that it deserves. Because really, if you look at the number of deaths involved, it's even more than what's happening in Palestine. We haven't really, in as much as here at Pan-African Television, we continue to speak about it. I do not think that the world has given Sudan that sort of attention that it deserves, looking at the ongoings in that country. This morning, we are learning that Sudan's issue could even jump from bad to worse. Well, I think it's already worse if you ask me. So maybe double worse if there's any superlative, like that. We are hearing that they are on the brink of a health crisis. 172 people have died already as a result of cholera. And if you look at the war situation over there, then and the fact that people do not even have access to food, potable drinking water. A few months ago, we heard that people had to eat peanut shells. Peanuts, not the peanut itself, the shells, and then drink water on it in order to survive. It's a very disturbing issue over there. And this health crisis would definitely, without a shred of doubt, add insult to injury. It says in just 1 week, Sudan's health ministry recorded that 172 people have died due to a cholera outbreak. According to local doctors cited by Sudanese media, drone attacks have caused power outages at water purification stations, which has left people with no choice but to use unclean water. IRC Country Director for Sudan, Yatizaz Yusuf, said the civil war, now in its third year actually, is fueling the resurgence of cholera. In a statement, the IRC emphasized that cholera vaccine coverage was low and essential supplies dwindling, the media charity Doctors Without Borders, that is MSF, has warned of reports of thousands of suspected cholera cases in Khartoum since the middle of last month. Its medical coordinator in the country, Suleiman Amar, stated that the conflict has clearly compromised basic infrastructure. In a press release, he said that healthcare in parts of the capital was either unavailable or unaffordable, adding that many of the remaining health workers had no choice but to leave due to fighting. And so they have found themselves in a very precarious situation. The fact that there's a war and people who are supposed to be there to help in fighting these diseases and fighting these sicknesses and attending to people who are ill, people who are sick, they have to leave. And you can't blame them really. Who would want to stay in a war-infested zone and in order to render services to people? No, unless, of course, you want to also be there and die. Let me start the conversation with Dr. Jamal on this particular issue. Doc.
Yeah, so normally, sometimes I ask certain questions. Why do we seek to govern? I think generally it has to do with providing an enabling environment, and then at the same time an atmosphere where people are safe, have good health, have the fundamental living conditions that we are all expecting. Sudan has been, I don't know, it's one country that I think we call it a forgotten place, where even the United Nations these days don't even talk about them. You only see WHO, you see UNHRC, refugee, all these bodies, they are the ones talking, but the main body where decisions are taken, they don't talk about them. But the question is, why? Is it all about governance? Do you seek to kill people, get the opportunity to rule over the same people? It doesn't make sense. If you look at somewhere 2023, from August 2023 to September 2024, they had about 9,100 and something cholera cases. That was 2023. You know, many people died, and it became business as usual. Oh, there is conflict, and if there are conflicts, the basic thing is to talk about mediation and provide an enabling environment for people before some of these things could be done. But I think that this is very saddening. A situation where people are handicapped. Who do we blame? Do we blame the government? Do we blame external intruders? Do we blame the UN itself? What is happening? What is even about the insurgencies? And so for me, look at the time of al-Bashir. They called him a dictator. The world called him a dictator. And then they said they needed to have an intervention for the gentleman to go. His life, the same, is still boiling. And so sometimes there is certain things we call a system has some implicit held out. Certain things keep system running. And so you may not like how the system is run. And if you think that you want to intervene, you end up creating more chaos. We can relate the same way to Gaddafi's hometown.
Yeah.
And so if you look at Sudan, it's like a football that people are tossing it around. And the world people do not care. Do you know that they held about 400,000 refugees? 400,000. Over 360,000 internally displaced people. And these 400,000 refugees are living close to the White Nile. And they defecate into the Nile. They fed the same water to drink. And so what would you think will happen? Cholera. Even the same people who have been in the refugee camp have been there for a very long time, that they begin to procreate within the same environment. And that people begin to see that that is a normal life. And so when you go to Sudan, you see people living a kind of lifestyle to be seen to be so normal that they do not see that there is another alternative. And so they have lived in a refugee camp for like 10 years. Within the same camp, they live in normal life there. They have families emerging from those same refugee camps. They don't even have affordable or even a place where they can even ease themselves properly. And so they do that in the river. And the same river, and it is not only that place. For if they continue to stay there for longer, all those who live along the Nile River will have cholera in the long run. Because that is where they bath. That is where they ease themselves. That is where they do everything. And then what the government thinks about is how to fight those they call refugees. Those they call, what they call it, terrorists. But the question is, can't we even have people who have the wisdom to say that, or people who have the dignity to say that, look, if it is because of power that I have that you want, why don't you come to the table? Let's find a neutral habitat to rule. Maybe they could have been a potential process that they could, because as it stands now, these people who are throwing bombs here and there will not stop. What is their intention? Their intention is that the kind of governance structure they have there, they do not like it. You see, so for me, I think they will need a neutral person who would come in and say, look, you have the mandate to rule the people. There are other group of people who think that you don't have the mandate. Why can't we find a middle ground to have a win-win situation? These two people should not even be allowed to rule, because you cannot be throwing bombs. So that at the end of the day, they'll give an opportunity to rule over the same people you have created that kind of silly things, forgive my language, in terms of creating hazard and, in fact, injurious activities for the people. So, for me, the UN is not deciding properly. The African Union is a toothless bulldog. For ECOWAS, we don't talk about them. And so, these crop of people think that they are minding their businesses. And it is not going to stop, because people will begin to learn what is happening there, and they are likely to press. So for me, in terms of the cholera, the government itself doesn't even have resources to deal with it. The UNHCR the refugee agency, should even move the people, because 400 people living close to the river for so many years. Yeah. Why don't you have, look at what they did to, what happened in Bujumbura, where Ghana had to receive refugees. And so if they are there and there is a problem, why don't you move them? Because the bombs have not even stopped flying. And you see, if not inhumane activity, if you are a terrorist, you want the government, why don't you kill the government? Is that not it? You want power, but yet you are hitting critical infrastructure of the country, the same country that you seek to govern. And so in terms of that, I think that WHO should come in, and then they faster the pace in terms of health processes that they will provide for them. Two, the United Nations should take a decision. Since African leaders are unable to do that, they should take a decision in seeing to it that these are the ways that they think that they can do to help. And then, when they go to sit down to discuss this AU and ECOWAS group, they should think beyond themselves. And they should have, and because in the time past, they themselves have not been fair in terms of how they deal with people. Countries seem to be very powerful than each other as they are in the same union. And so even when they congregate to make certain decisions, so you will see certain countries not abiding by these decisions.
Feel like they're more superior?
That is it. They are. Look at, for example, what we are seeing in Togo. Yeah. Look at what nearly happened, what happened in Ivory Coast. Mm-hmm. Look at what happened in Senegal. Yeah. You living with people, and someone denying the people their privilege, and he says he's a life president. Did you hear that last month? Mm-hmm. For has assumed himself as a life president. Yeah. And it is not like
now people cannot even vote.
That is what I'm saying. Even have
the right
to vote.
Parliament actually gives votes.
No, that is what I'm saying. Yeah. That is, and you know one thing. When he is coming, they will even lay red carpet for him. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? And so, among them, they have a lot of cotton wood in their annuses, and they still feel that. How do you tell the next person? And those who are struggling to engender the processes of democratic governance, these people, for instance, when they go there, because they want to make friends, they don't have to talk much. And so for me, I think that it is not an isolation in terms of the health crisis that we have there. It is a totality of governance failure, for which I think that United Nations must take a decisive action. When people are fighting over certain things, there should be an action. There should be always a godfather there or a grandfather there that can say that, look, you are looking for this, you are looking for this, the two of you will not get it. Because I don't think that it will be fair if an opportunity is given to these terrorists to take the harms of affairs, and begin to rule over people that they have terrorized for long. And the governance structure too is also not good, because they are also there, they doing nothing, and what they do, they still siphon money from the state. And so for me, I think that it is high time that as part of international laws, there should be an external intervention. And then the other recommendation I will give is that they should move the people who are close to the whites now. Over 400,000 of them. And this thing, look at how many people died. Children died. Because they are there, they are having children, giving birth to children. They don't have good sanitary conditions. Come on, we should find a way around it.
Right, thank you. Let me hear from you, Prof.
Yeah, KOKU, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers again. I always commend your outfit for taking time to look at what is happening beyond Ghana, and that is a good initiative. You are doing well. We only don't focus on what is happening in Ghana,
of course.
but you make some time to discuss issues beyond our borders. What is it so important to us with this topic? It's important because regionally, you know that cholera ignores borders.
Yeah.
Sudan is very close to Chad. It's close to the southern Sudan.
Yeah.
Very close to Ethiopia. So the excesses can also have a similar effect. And then to travel all the way to where we find ourselves today. And when we have emergency like this, we need to talk about. And I'm sure that's why we are spending time to look at all these issues. Sudan, they've been in the media or headlines for bad, for good reasons. Hardly you hear good things coming from Sudan. I don't know when we can wake up one day, we are hearing that they have developed an aircraft or some robotic, some innovations. It's always having a negative stories coming from such region. It's not the best. But let's go back to the issue. In fact, cholera doesn't kill people. It is just neglect us. Neglect. Sudan has a crisis. Africa knows the solution. The word lack agency. And this outbreak is just a warning. If you don't provide solutions to the crisis, will have worse effects in our region. You know, this issue is not an isolated health emergency crisis. It's not isolated. Series of war, systemic neglect, and there are a lot of issues in terms of climate shock. So I'm seeing this as not an isolated health emergency, but culminated or as a result of series of war, neglect of health system, and then some climate shocks. The data we have, why are we having these issues? In fact, if you look at what is happening over there, you are unable to even count the number of deaths they are recording because war is still ongoing. How do you get in to take statistics to find out how many people are going through this? Sudan over the period, historically, have had war and collapse. Since April 2023, Sudan's civil war had destroyed about 70 to 80 health facilities in conflict zones. And we're unable to tell the number because the country is blocked. You're unable to count the number of people who are dying. And that is the serious part of what we are talking about. You know, they've had issues of displacement crisis. Over 7 million people have been displaced. And then we have water and sanitation breakout as well. Malnutrition fueling the death. It's also about 4.9 million children are acutely malnourished, making cholera a deadly line. So you realize that we are having a lot of issues. There's a lethal gaps. There are lethal gaps. One, no vaccine in the region, no clean water, no treatment. So the health system is running less than 30% of the needed funding for this region. So for me, it's a worrying situation, and Africa, we must learn out of this, what is happening. You know, what is the solution to this problem? It's good to talk about it. It's good to know the statuses. It's good to know the impacts. But what will be our solution? In fact, currently, there's war ongoing over there. So we demand a ceasefire to allow aid. If they don't cease fire and they don't find a way to reduce the tension, aid will not get into that country. Those who want to support are beyond the borders, trying to get in to support people. But then they are unable to enter. You know, we must also fund water and then health system. We shouldn't leave it like that. And again, it will have a rippling effect regionally if you don't tackle this issue well. Yeah.
Right, thank you. Text line will be displayed on your screens. Make sure you do well to send in your messages relative to the topics that we have tabled for today's conversation. We'll proceed, we'll leave Sudan, we'll come back to Ghana. There are so many things happening in our country. That conversation about the suspended Chief Justice is still on. But yesterday, something also happened at the offices of the Economic and Organized Crime Office. The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Chairman Intribu Isiako. When I say Chairman Intribu Isiako, you people may not know him because his nickname, Chairman Woon to me, is what everybody knows him by. So Chairman Woon to me, he was interrogated thoroughly by Yoko yesterday. We understand that he has been taken ill. I'm just seeing online that he is actually receiving treatment in one facility at the 37 military hospital. So he's there. I'm sure he's being monitored. Once he gets better, they'll come and whisk him. Whisk him out. But, you know, really. So charges have been leveled against him. The CID department of the Ghana Police Service, he was there. I think he was there on Monday, and then he had to be there again yesterday before Yoko also came in. We understand that Exim Bank, they have also leveled some charges against him. Yeah. There was some monies that he took for farming purposes. He was supposed to plant maize. he didn't plant it. He didn't plant the maize. That's what we are being told, allegedly. Well, he's not been, no court of competent jurisdiction has pronounced him guilty, and so we are saying all of these things based on allegation. But he was questioned yesterday thoroughly at Iyoko's head office, and he fell ill in the process. He had to be rushed to the hospital. We understand he's receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital. But I have my personal sentiments on this issue, and of course you heard me earlier on the newspaper headline segment. I don't understand why we ask government to, you know, fight Galamsey. And of course, the fight against Galamsey must not be political, because there are political actors who are involved from both political parties, the NDC and the MPP. So as people who would bear the brands, who feel the heat, who feel the impact directly due to the activities of these politicians, we need to have a united voice. We need to speak in unison against illegal mining. Then one person who is allegedly engaged in it has been picked up by the police. Then people go and pick it at Yoko that he should be released. On what grounds, really? That is a personal sentiment for me, because if government is, you say government should fight it, and you are saying that Galamsey has become worse under this government, and he's making moves to fight it, and one person whose mining company, Akunta Mining, allegedly has engaged in that activity is being questioned. It's not as if he was beaten. It's not as if he was manhandled by the police. It was just a normal questioning process. Now you go there with people asking that he is released. So what do we want, really? Do we want people who commit crime to be left off the hook without being accountable, even when they flout the laws of this country, because of political affiliations? Is that what we want as a people? Because really, I do not get it from that point. And like, irrespective of whoever it is, whether the person belongs to the MPP or the NDC, the person must suffer the same fate. I don't get it. Professor Boydi, maybe you have a different Doc, process. he wants your opinion first of this matter.
Oh, you see, politics, when you see politics, development, nation wrecking and nation building, they are so linked that if you want to call shot in terms of ensuring that the right thing is done, there are always going to be issues. When you look at what is happening, we have been made to let it look like it is the usual picking other political parties or those who have lost power, and then the ruling government will pick them. Then they would, there are people who mass on the street, and then they would make it a foolish case. But I think that we must be serious in terms of governance. I don't know. Prof is in the same profession as myself. Mm-hmm. I don't think Prof can buy a Yoruba car. Prof, can you? I don't think so.
Maybe the dollar is coming down. Maybe when the dollar comes to 5 cedis.
No, even with that. So you see, but these people have created a kind of mafia system that they use the system, get rich, galvanize people around themselves, and then use these same people to continue to perpetuate the very crime that was once done. Look, I don't want us to go into the politics of that. I would like to see a system where we must be fair to the system. Mm-hmm. I just asked this question because, my brother, I have been working for over a decade, almost over 15, 17 years. I cannot buy a home use car. If I want to buy a home use car, I have to save to buy it. But I could have equally also decided that I'm going to exploit the environment, mm-hmm. do certain things, and then get away with it.
Yeah.
No, we are getting away. People are using the power they have to get away with things that they do. Why can't you be fair? You know, it may sound witch hunting, because that is what we do in this country. That is what we do, in the sense that previous government, we saw what happened in the previous political party. We saw what is happening now. We saw what happened some years back. Right? So for me, the issue is that, are we being fair to Ghana? Is it that some people are above the law? And that is how I always look at it. They make money, they came to social media, they say a whole lot of things. And having dissipated the resources of the country, plundered it into the way they wanted it, then we will then come and say that, oh, it is political. But the question is, he's represented by a lawyer, right?
Yes.
Once he's represented by a lawyer, why don't you allow the lawyer to do his duty? Because yes, this morning I was coming, I listened to one lawyer speaking at KOKU, one of their program, something, and the Anti-Imperialist or something like that.
That's Ultimate's lawyer.
Yes, he said, look, that Raymond Archer has been very professional. I'm quoting him. That's what he said. Well, not just this morning. He said that, in fact, one day when he gave them 100% access. And in all the interrogation, they allow everything to go. So this is what I wanted to hear. Because the fundamentals, our human rights are very important. And so if human right has been trampled upon, I don't think that I will sit here and support that we should do that. But we should also allow situations where people will have power and then use the power to their advantage. What they said he has done, has he done it? A competent court of jurisdiction will determine that. The process they are doing, is that how it's supposed to be done? Is it a new style? No, it's what has been happening. What is the rule of look, even as a union leader, the NIB, what do we call? We used to call them the NIB now. Have been taken to their office severally.
Oh, okay.
Yes, not once. Look, we are going to go in a demonstration. I just saw a vehicle just came and stood. They mapped me from my house. They mapped me from my house to the campus and whisked me to there, and they held me for 6 hours.
Wow.
I get to, in 2020, 2021, they followed me to Central University. 2020, when that was the year I completed the law school. They followed me to Central University and picked me to their head office. Do you know what they did? I don't know whether they were monitoring my phone. I just received an anonymous call, and I came out and they said, they opened the car. I was inside. You won't see anything. And that night, the following day, we were going to organize a demonstration. I still went ahead and went and organized a demonstration. Because I told the man that you cannot frustrate me. I don't get afraid to do some of these things. And I told them, and I left Accra. I was supposed to sleep in Accra. Do you know what I did? I drove back to Koforidua, and we went on the demonstration. So it happens. This is not like a first time, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a citizen. This is what is happening, even in developed countries. Because their method of interrogation doesn't go through this. But let's come to the party boys. Everybody has a right to whatever you can do. But the question we are asking is that, did you take part of the money? Did you know I'm asking this? Because that has become very rampant. Whether NDC or MPP, I think that, why don't we allow, if it is that his rights are abused, for me, his rights, we should even sue the people in person. If you use your office to abuse my right, I will sue your office, I will sue the Attorney General, and I will sue you in person. So that you will use the state funds to come and defend yourself. You understand? And you can follow it to whatever. And he has money to do that. So for me, what they have realized is that they have series of, and you won't be surprised that tomorrow, another group will pick him. I'm very positive about that. Because you see, that's why I said there is a thin line between politics, development, and the role played by these political parties. The first group just interrogated him what is in the public domain. Right? About Galamsey. And if you look at even the history of the Galamsey, in 2022, Honorable Sama Abujinapo, right?
Yeah.
Wrote a letter. The following 2-3 weeks, the president came and cleared him. If you remember.
Yeah.
Yes, so it means that there is a historical antecedent that they can pick from there. But for me, if you look at what has happened, one group, and this Exim Bank issue, I told you where someone was talking about it in Kumasi, where he was supposed to do some route and it has not been done. So if it is actually that is true, they should take him through. But brother, it's not easy to come by money. And we are struggling as teachers. We need more money from the government. My people are struggling. We as lecturers, we feel that our conditions of service is not very much. So if there is excess money the state can get and pay us our money, why not? They should get it for me. And for me, let's decouple the persona. Because you see, we have in Ghana, if you have money and you can speak louder, you can do anything that you want to do. People, even party chairmen, slapping people. I don't know whether you've heard that. Slap a government functionary and nothing happens. Someone who has gone against the law and the person is taken to the police station, a party regional chairman will go and say, remove him. And say, if they ask, we say, I said it. And if you don't remove him as a regional police commander, they will transfer you.
Yeah.
That is the kind of system that we have built. Is this meritocracy? That is far-fetched. And so we must run a system where if I sit here, or if as a young man, there are issues, then the system should be fair to me. Because of that, even those things have even broken corporate governance structures. Because we have put it in the psychic of some of these people that we have, that even at the corporate government structure, someone wields political power. He comes and you want to tell Prof that he should teach this way. He said, no, I want to teach this way. Then he becomes a problem. And so for me, he should be fairly treated. The government should, whatever mechanism they will do, they should allow his lawyers to be there. But for those who max over there and trying to, I think they don't have jobs to do. Because my brother, there was somebody walking and someone fired a bullet, straight bullet, kills a person. During the political intermal in the North region. The guy, Nyankpala, someone just fired, just because of crowd. There has been somewhere people, you see crowd before something will happen and you are moving, going somewhere and you will get it. And so there, even maxing there is even a crime. I would recommend what the police should do. The police know what to do. We must begin to sensitize people to know that, look, if it is our party, you say people should come. On what basis should they come? Is it that, have you done the thing or you've not done? If you say you have not done it, at the end of the day, the court will exonerate you. Right? And they cannot pay our laws of the country. They cannot hold you beyond 24 hours.
Yeah.
They have to bring it to court. And if any judge is going to grant them to continue to keep you, the judge will look at the facts as presented to him or her, and then a decision will be made. So for me, I think that we must begin to sensitize political actors, and that, look, it is not what they come in there or they're not coming there. It is not what they look at the lawyer. As I said, I had a lawyer just this morning saying he was granted, they were granted, and even when they said that they didn't handcuff him, they asked him and he joined and they took him there. And so for me, let's begin to sensitize people when we get the opportunity. And then politicians must know that it's not every time that you can always use people for, or take people for granted. You ask everyone to come there. On what basis? And I saw some woman on the video, I was just watching, I saw a certain woman shouting. And maybe she has her children at home. A certain woman shouting there, some guys are shouting. At the end of the day, they'll say, so, for solidarity, that is fine. But that's not the, why do they go to court? Because for me, solidarity, you come seated in the court, the judge will see that the person is not just even an individual. He came with people. That is fair enough. But where they are interrogating, it didn't even stop them. What the number of hours they kept in there. And according to his lawyer, all these police, all the process, they were seated, all the things that they did, those things they need to object, they did everything. And that is how it's supposed to be done. And so, let's continue to sensitize people. And then, for those, you see that they are even there, you don't have anything to do. Because if the following morning you are going to work at the industrial area, you are going to Tomato work, what's you will be standing here? Well, Prof, me if I sleep after 10, I will wake up, I cannot wake up at 4. My normal waking up is 2:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30. And I have to do this before I go and sit down and pray. And so if you are doing this, and anything that will take my time beyond that, I will not do it. You understand? And so if you look at him, you will be there pressing for, look at them, they are standing, they don't have job to do. So the state must increase our pace of job creation. So that if these people have job, do you think they'll come and start here? No, my brother, the gentleman who, he has money. Well, here when he was putting money on his TV, boldly, and then bragging. I getting it. And he did all of this. But the question is, if he is not wrong, I'll plead that we should be fair to each other.
Of course.
I'll plead. But if
the law has just worked.
Yes, if he has actually dissipated the resources of the state, my brother, if anybody allows on the day of judgment, God will not forgive them. Because for me, if you look at how teachers are suffering, those of us who are teaching, you struggle, you take your monthly salary, you take 3 days in the month, the man will finish. No, I'm serious. And the state must begin to now think. I'm sorry I'm digressing. In fact, UK just increased the salary of teachers to 4%. And all other public sector will take 3.6%.
Doc is has up-to-date information on countries that have increased their salary.
As a union leader, my will is that government should pay lecturers higher. I'm talking about lecturers, not all teachers, lecturers. Government should pay us higher, give us better condition of service, so that at least we can teach people, we can help the generation to grow. So they should go take the money. If the money is spent by, for me, custodial sentences and all those, they should look at some of these things. If it is that he has faulted the state, they charge me with all the interest, collect it for us. And they shouldn't put him there, then he will leave the prison and come and spend the money. No. And for all those people, the government, they should try. People should be sensitized. Get young people job. And they won't come and stand there. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. He doesn't have job. Can you see? Look.
Thank you.
wrong. If they have job.
That's not why I asked you to speak. You know it's
it's disheartening though. Because I'm telling you, a lecturer, when you see a lecturer with all the jobs are doing, and you can't buy even a home use car as a lecturer. No, it's not right. The country has to treat us well. You see a lecturer, if you don't have any portfolio or position, then at the end of the day they pay you salaries. You have to go and borrow, go and look for loan, and people are struggling. And so for me, the state must marshal wherever resources they will do. If it is that people have taken it and then they should bring all those things back to the pool and pay us good money so that we will continue to serve Ghana. After they come, look at where they are sitting. If you ask any of them whether they have ever met him, they have never met him before. You know, I'm telling you, apart from on TV, I've never seen him before. Maybe Prof perhaps have not even met him before. But those sitting there, if you ask them, some of them don't have party card. You see, they just want to have their eyes and watch because they don't have. We must create an enabler, get jobs for people, and open up the country. And for this one, if the police were, this is a security zone. If I just don't want to preempt that, what I was thinking when I saw it last night, the police could come and spray them pepper.
Yeah, if they wanted to be high-handed.
That's what they do. What is a security zone? They're not supposed to come there.
Yeah.
They could have sprayed them pepper. No, I don't advocate for them to do that, but they should have driven all of them away. But you see, the politicians enjoyed it. I saw that the general secretary came and spoke. He came out and he spoke, they clad and sold. But that is not how it's supposed to be done. If it is that the gentleman is wrong, the state should find a civil way of dealing with him. If he has stolen money, please, they should, any kobo that he has with him, they should collect it for us. And then give it to me, the lecturers, so we will know what to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll do some messages that our viewers have shared with me. Then I'll proceed to permit Prof to also share his remarks or his thoughts on this, wound to me situation. But let's quickly get to WhatsApp where I've received some messages. Tomla from Mankraso says, the NPP should stop the hypocrisy. Ghanaians can never forget and forgive them for all the crimes, Rambo-style arrest and fatal torture they committed against Ghanaians for the past 8 years. They must allow the law to work and deal with wicked criminals like Wuntumi who have taken huge sums of the taxpayers' money for no work done, destroyed all forest reserves and polluted water bodies with mercury and cyanide. The law is the law. Greetings to Visionary President GM and all patriotic citizens. Okay, thank you. Good morning, bless. All those jobless guys picketing at the Yoko are all registered by the party, and after the halabalu, they'll go for their money. Samina Adenta sent this one. Thank you, Sami, for the message. Kwabla V. Benghazi says CID and Yoko should have arrested Chairman Wuntumi long time. Chairman Wuntumi alone has destroyed so many water bodies and vast forests through Galamsey, and he has been bragging about that. He has plenty gold. He keeps on destroying the forest in the Ashanti region. He deserves to be arrested and prosecuted at the law court. Thank you, Kwabla V, for your message. Good morning, bless. Chairman Wuntumi claimed he is the governor of Ashanti region. Please, does it mean that Ashanti Utumfo is under him? If the answer is no, why has Wuntumi alone allegedly caused damage to most forest reserves in the region without a check? Chiefs were destood for engaging in Galamsey by Utumfo. Why allow Wuntumi to destroy our forest? Seth from Brekum sent this one. Thank you, Seth. This one here also says, Mr. Ost, let's be honest to ourselves. We're all in this country. We all witnessed the kind of bias the Chief Justice did. The Kufuor came and met the Chief Justice and maintained him. No one talked. Nanado used force to sack Charlotte, which is against the Constitution. What happened? So people must have the love for Ghana more than their political party. All these problems we are facing from Nanado. Breaking the law of the land by Baba Alaji from Pru West. Thank you, Baba Alaji, for the message. This one here also says, good morning, bless. What is wrong with the MPP? Nanabi, who was in their time always calling on the IGP and the Kufuor to arrest the NDC officials whenever they only try to tell their minds, just like the NDC chairman of Osuampofo, and today he is crying. Okay, thank you for your message. Let's head on to Facebook. This one here says, bless, it is the same operatives of the past government that is still operating, so MPP should give us a break. Untimi has questions to answer, so let's wait. The rearrest of the loudmouth chairman, to me, is welcome news. The destruction of our water bodies and the Tiwa Forest Reserve by Kunta Mining, owned by the controversial chairman, to me, was nothing short of criminal. No one should be above the law, and it's high time the laws of this country were enforced without fear or favor. The law must work, and the law is working, and the law is the law. Musa Abato has sent this one. It's very unfortunate how this Mahama government is using the security service to maltreat innocent Ghanaians, especially MPP sympathizers and leaders, in the name of resetting. However, I'm glad how the NDC is showing the MPP in a hard way that politics is not for friendly settlements, and that the MPP should know what to do the next time in power. I can only hope and pray that the common Ghanaian will have peace and lives as Ghanaians and not aliens. Regards to all MPP media patriots and the Ashanti region. Kujas and Passes, what a great morning show indeed. We are live and clear inside as Sempa Furniture Works in Edum Kumasi. Thank you. Right. Let me come to Prof. The last but one message I read, the person said that this government appears to be using, force and is being high-handed in the arrest of persons. Do you share similar sentiments?
Well, I'll attempt to answer that question, but when my brother was given the chance to speak, I told him, let him start first. He asked me to be my leader. He fight for my cause. Today he looks like a Yoko boss. Who will go and arrest him outside the hospital? Interesting developments in our country today. About 4 characters are in this, and for me to be more of advisory or give advice to those who showed that solidarity: the government, the institutions, especially the bank, and the country as well. So let me start with those who had gone there to show their support to Wontumi. Solidarity should not be at the expense of economic or productivity. We are allowed to show support in whichever way that we want to. Now that people are in politics, you have people who obviously will support you when they have a case. But across governments, we have seen this across governments. It starts when someone is to be appointed, either to hold a public office. During the interview or when they invite them to appear in the committee, you see chiefs, you see opinion leaders. Trunk will come all the way from their various places to the Parliament House. They leave their jobs. And when it happens, productivity will be low. And today, look at the number of people that had gathered in front of that. There's a CID office, right? Number of people. Young, youthful. And I can tell you, and sometimes I've been wondering whether it's because of our weather that allows people to do what they do. That whenever someone is arrested, they all will run and go to the scene. I don't know, bless, weather is the weather. Because elsewhere, in other developed world, the weather is cold. Can you have such a number of people who will gather and go and stand there? So the weather has not also been fair to us because we want to be active all the time because the weather is hot. The cold region, you don't have this number. In fact, you'll be left alone. So solidarity is good, but it should not be at the expense of productivity. Now, let's look at some historical precedents over the period of high-profile cases recorded in our country, and in terms of accountability, what as a country we've been able to achieve when we have all these high-profile cases. Bless, can you tell me what as a country we have made or gained out of these high-profile cases? it starts like this. Then everybody will throw their weight case. Then after 2-3 weeks, another case will come in. The case is dropped or is dragged for some time. Let's look at Alfred Abwesiwayomi. What happened? Ordered by court to refund about 51.2 million. The wrongful judgment debt scandal. I must condemn such. In any day, bless, nobody is above the law.
Yeah.
Even as a president, you must face the law. The Chief Justice, political appointees, everybody. When you are found culpable, the law must deal with you in any day. You know, after Wayomi case, 51.2 million, ordered by court. Look at Rambo Style, which was arrested. A song was composed for him. A whole country, we composed a song for him. Ato Kessel Forsen, when MPP took power. What happened? His issue on the, how much was it? 2-point-something million, the ambulance case, dragged in court over a prolonged period of time. Eugene Ahi, MPP.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Yeah.
Tajuti Kata, remember, was he jailed? Yes.
He was incarcerated.
Yes. The case of Kwesi Ama was an MPP. So over the years, I'm just showing you a pattern of financial scandals. But I'm concerned about the results that we have gotten out of all these cases. What is happening today? What is the issue? Yes, what's the issue here? Two issues. One, we have been told of Exim Bank lawsuit against him. We have been told Yoko and CID. Now, is it BN? Is it CID still? NIB. Not CID anymore. So NIB and then Yoko. After him. Why? Because of the probing the issues on potential fraud and financial malfeasance and then money laundering. These have been the charges against him. And we have linked this to his mining activities. Let's take that of Exim Bank. What happened? We are aware that the Exim Bank advanced some money over an alleged unpaid loan linked to his mining and business activities. This is the charge. Exim Bank gives you a loan to go and do, and you mentioned what was the project? To go and do a project in there.
Yeah, he was supposed to plant some maize. He said he had to farm maize. He had to do a maize farm. I understand.
Right. So they advanced loan. They gave loan to him.
Yeah.
Then he failed to pay back the loan. On the basis of this, a change of earning comes, and the man now is facing the law. In fact, all of us, from what we do, we need loans. We do businesses. And SMEs often will struggle with facilities. But we have someone who has gone to the bank to get a loan, and the loan advanced to this person. Now the person fails to pay, and now there's a lawsuit against him. Is that the reason why he's been arrested? For me, anytime you take a loan from a bank, you must pay. Because if you don't do that, you stifle the bank in terms of growth.
Yeah.
They will not be able to give loans to other people. Why did the bank, they are still in operation? How many years has it been? What time did they give the loan? Why have they waited up to this time before taking action? So for me, the institution must also be held responsible. It's a government institution. Exim Bank It belongs to the government. I'm sure, I don't know the shareholding structure on this, but I'm sure we have some funding from the government to this institution. Have they tried? Yes. Have they tried several times to arrest him? They were not able to do that. If someone takes a loan from a bank, on what basis do we give loans to someone? We check, we know basic credit, there are about 3.6 or 4.6. Your collateral, the condition, the capital, about 3 conditions are taken. See, you call this 4.6 or so. You check my background, will I be able to pay or not? You check my collateral. Did one to me provide a collateral to secure the loan? And what is collateral used for? It's a fallback position. When you're unable to pay, we fall on the collateral and then we sell. Have they exhausted all these processes? And finally, he has to be arrested. I am not concerned, I'm worried just because of this whole political tension. We don't need this in our country. We need cool heads to prevail. We need the law must work. And I'm sure our court systems, we have a good systems in our country that will be able to help retrieve this fund. So we are not told whether the bank, they've been trying to find him and they have not been able to, and that could be the way to approach it. That is fine. But then we should know that when you take a loan, you have a collateral. Yeah. So the bank should be able to fall on the collateral. I'm sure he might have provided. If he didn't, then those who advance the loan must all equally be arrested. Because you can't give loan on nothing. We should be able to segment or decompose political thing to a pure business operations. Did he acquire the loan because he happened to be an NDC, MPP, regional chairman, so they advanced the loan, they didn't check anything? That's a serious issue. So for me, if those executives are still alive, they should also go after them. Because you can't give loans and you don't have collateral back in the loan. The other thing is on the YOCO and CID. In fact, YOCO in recent times, over the years, they've been involved in retrieving funds belonging to the states. So if they are acting, I don't have a problem because it's within their mandate. YOCO, Economic Intelligence Financial Crimes also, they are supposed to do that. And I'm sure their involvement is because there's some financial issues, malfeasance, money laundering. If we have a money laundering, that's a criminal case. It's a criminal case. Money laundering is a criminal. In any day, the state should come after you. But have they invited him and he failed? That has resulted into it. I can't tell whether they have extended a lot of invitation to him. But from the last report, I've been told that when they invited him, he went.
That was on Monday.
On Monday?
Yes.
So when he was about to be released, another body also came.
So he was invited on Monday, and then I think he was invited yesterday. He reported yesterday again. So he reported yesterday. Okay. And as soon as they left him, the Economic and Organized Crime Office also came for him. Okay.
And that's what the lawyer was saying, that when they went there, in fact, he was commending Remoacha.
Yeah, okay.
That this is the first time that he was not like he was professional to him. Then.
So it is not, I mean, per what you are saying, it's not really what we are seeing on our screens per the picketing. Those who went there to picketing.
For the picketing, they call, it's like NDC or MPP, when they invite someone.
That's what I don't want to see.
No, but Prof, you cannot avoid that because, you see, we have had systems that we build to a level that people, that's why I'm using the word, people make money out of politics. And then when they have certain things, there is suspicion of what they have made. Then they will say, oh, all of you can buy it on the social media. He himself has even called these people that John Mahama is pursuing him for doing his party work. You know, he just said it on his TV. He said he's pursuing him for doing his party work. And that has been for NDC and then for MPP. But the question I usually will ask myself is that the very people they are asking to come, did they share part in why they have been criminalized?
You know, some will get there. They don't have any idea what is happening.
No, they don't know. Yeah, they just come.
Just because. And that reminds me, so funny story about an MP who was called to come to Parliament. He was doing something somewhere, and then he was called. He got there and said, "My friend." And then he said,
Can you imagine?
You know, so I have condemned that act, that you can't just get up
and go. Yeah, no.
Please have a reason. And for me, if Yoko is doing his work, it's work. That is fine.
Yeah.
But if there are other avenues of inviting people which will not raise this political tension, they should go for it.
But what other avenues are there?
I'm saying that if there are, if officially they invited him and he failed to appear, that's a norm. He should be picked up.
Also, Prof, I also think it's the political parties who attempt to make some political capital out of these issues.
No, that is how it's supposed to be.
But today,
that's how it's supposed to be.
If you check all the media houses, this is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
It happened yesterday. It doesn't mean that today it must be. I mentioned Chikata issue. The same uproar.
Yeah.
It happened in the same. That's why I gave you historical
events over the past year.
It's been the same. And for me, it's about productivity. You're talking about low figure in terms of our GDP. That's the GDP ratio. We are having issues. People must be free to work. How much would those people get at the end of the day? Some of them have never met me before. So my issue is that, you know, all this thing we are discussing here today, internationally, is our investors' confidence level. What happens? Because today, your station will discuss this. Joy will discuss this. Adon will discuss this.
That's true.
Everybody today discussing this arrest of people. Investors, we don't see them. They are beyond our shoulders. Look at this one.
But if I'm looking at it, look at Professor Mel.
Ekonfi.
Do you see people picketing there? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Look at Edu Boahin.
Yeah.
If what the state is alleging he has taken.
Yeah.
Look at the quantum.
Yeah.
That could make lecturers better off.
And those people will be bashed. Sometimes they are bashed.
Oh yeah, they are bashed. Yes, definitely. Yes.
And look at their mouth. But you know, doing this, we need to look at the health of the man. I'm happy they take him to hospital.
Yes.
Indeed, if he's sick, they should give some medical attention and ensure that he's fit to face what. And I said, in Ghana here, nobody is above the law. Myself, your good self, nobody. If you fall foul, the law must work. Our judiciary must also be protected, especially we protect Yoko, the CID headquarters, CID as well. Their independence is very important, just to help restore some faith in Ghana judicial system. We want to ensure that there's transparency, and then we also have our investigations should be timely. That's advice I would give. We make sure that no political interference when we are doing this. And I'm not saying that that's what we are saying, but it's an advice to these institutions that our politicians, it's a lesson to all the political parties, the politicians. Please, you should be able to see, dissociate ourselves from, work ethics and political related matters. Don't go for loan if you are not qualified. And don't go for loan because I want to help my party. You go for loan. If you don't pay, the law will deal with you. And the issue of mining, I think it's overflowed. We have been talking about mining issues. If indeed it doesn't have a permit and destroying our forests, just as we have done to other people, it shouldn't be just a new person that is going through this. Our water bodies have been polluted. We're having issues with our economy, the whole ecological space. We're having issues. So, if it's about Galamsey matters, and I don't know whether he has a genuine license to mine. Those who also issue licenses must be questioned.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not about those who are given, but those who grant must also be picked up. You know the person is not qualified. You don't check the activity, monitoring. If you go to a banking sector, they are monitored, every time, sending a report. our people who are in the forest, who does the monitoring? Why are they allowed to do this? I know this is my field. So once we are advising our political leaders, we must also advise the institutions as well. For me, it's a lesson to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you are just joining us, we've already discussed two topics. We've spoken about happenings in Sudan and their health issues. There is a cholera outbreak that could add more insult to injury, looking at their current situation, the civil war that the Sudanese people have had to endure over the last nearly 2 years. And also, we've touched on the Wontumi situation. The Ashanti regional chairman of the new Patriotic Party, he was picked up by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, KOKU. He was interrogated. Some charges, some allegations have been leveled against him. He had to answer to that, but in the course of it, we had a medical emergency, if I should put it that way, and had to be rushed to the hospital. We understand he's currently receiving treatment at the 37 military hospital. Again, your messages are important. 0559919802. Make sure you keep them coming. Let me take time to read some of the messages that you have shared with me. Good morning, host. I'm Harrison from Buipe. I'm surprised seeing people support Wontumi against his arrest. Does NPP support the activities of their chairman, destroying forests, cocoa farms, and water bodies? I wish that all the protesters, including Wontumi, be given water from the polluted rivers to drink. Their reaction would deter those engaged in illegal mining. Good morning to you and your panel members. Chairman Wontumi is not above the laws of this country, and the law is the law. Let the law take its course. Wontumi once showed the whole world gold bars and said he's the richest man in the country, and now he's calling on all Ghanaians to come to his aid. Where are the gold bars he showed on TV? Can't he call the gold bars to help him? Amos in Asenfusu, thank you. Amos, bless. Ghana cannot develop until we separate reality from sympathy. Committing a crime is a reality. Sympathizing with him is a different ballgame, which must not override the crime. Discussions on air must center on fact, not opinions or conjectures. We need the money to develop. Nana Say sent this one. Thank you, Nana Say. I agree with you. Good morning, bless, and to your panelists, especially my former lecturer, Dr. Jamal. Dr. Jamal, one of your students, sending this one. I think Chairman Wontumi should be dealt with in accordance with the law, but I want to find out which law warrants the Yoko to arrest people in Rambo style like this. Couldn't they have arrested him when NPP was in power? The arrest, of course. When the NPP was in power, the person leading the Yoko was a different person. And of course, the Chairman Wontumi is the Ashanti regional chairman of the NPP. So, of course, you don't expect Yoko to come and arrest one of their own, or the then Yoko. That's just by the way. The arrest in Adenta that caused the victim's wife a miscarriage. Wontumi was attending to a call by the NIB and was arrested in this shameful manner. Did they invite him and he didn't respond? This sounds like a political witch hunt. President Mahama is doing well for the country, and this shameful acts shouldn't change the CD and petrol narrative. Thomas from Ablekuma sent this one. Right? Let's do some more messages. This one here says, good morning, bless. Obviously, the once intellectual party, NPP, has now become party with many thugs. Is the NPP or Wontumi above the laws of the land? The law is the law. BB from Musuku sent this one. Thank you, BB, for your message. Bless. NPP can now teach the security agencies how to do their job. So they should shut up. Wontumi will face the law without favor. Simple. Stephen from Kwabinga. Thank you, Stephen, for your message. Good morning, Bless. Good morning to you and your panelists. I want to draw your attention to the law that those calling for Yoko to have invited Chairman Wontumi instead of arresting him. There's no law that says that one should be invited. The law demands arrest. Invitation is only a courtesy, but not the law. Pasolu from Tamale sent this one. This one here also says that it is very surprising that no one is talking about the recent happenings in Ghana. Now, the 24-hour economy policy of the NDC Mama government has now turned into 24 hours persecution and intimidation of the MPP members. No one talks about 24-hour economy nor free academic user fees for academic fees for first year students. But that is going to be implemented, or Prof. Doc? The free
they've done that.
They've done that. Okay.
They've even written to finance directors to send the list, and I think they've started paying.
Okay, so Abdurrahman Bakun from Old Barrier. I understand. I mean, and the Doomsaw situation there. I will say it. Doomsaw, there's Doomsaw. There's a power crisis, and the sooner we dealt with it, the better. And of course, I understand people who say that we cannot have a 24-hour economy if we are not having our lights on for 24 hours. I use electricity, and almost at least twice or thrice in a week, I have to feel the scourge of power outages, and it's really terrible. So, of course, I'll also implore the government to take stringent actions to arrest this power situation. We wouldn't want to revisit the dark days of doom. So thank you, Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman, you live at Barrier, Old Barrier. That's a floodable area, and I know the dam has been spilt. Are you safe? I want to find out from you if you are safe. But I want to also extend greetings to all the workers at the National Security. Yep, greetings to all workers at the National Security. And this coming also from not just Olimi, also Kwame Osu Danso. Good morning, host. I really appreciate the submissions of your guests. I really like the men. They are balanced in their presentation. No partisan politics. David from Akachi. Thank you, David. And good morning to the people of Akachi. Good morning, Pan-Africa TV. Please, I think the word raid, MPP guys don't understand it. Which law at all has Yoko breached? Foster from Koforidua. Thank you, Foster, for your message. Good morning. If the Attorney General is investigating the board chairman for the SkyTrain, why are they not doing same for the ECG passport chairman, and others? Are they playing games of friendship? James from Kumasi. Thank you, James, for your message. Special greetings to those of you watching us on YouTube and on Facebook. Kwejo Fiagbe on Facebook says, if they believe they are witches, President Mahama quickly hunts them. Sam Bamfo says, greetings from Amsterdam to you all. Thank you, and thank you for doing the watching all the way from Amsterdam. Sam Bamfo says, the law is the law, and Wontumi must face it. Sanison Iliasu says, depend. Okay, your message is not so clear, but it says Wontumi should have not been taken to any hospital. His illness is fake. Well, Diane Boyd, protect the great African leaders, Ibrahim Traore in particular. He has done more for African people than any of the colonizers. United, hashtag United Africa. Thank you, Diane, for your message. Now, let's proceed. We have two more issues to discuss. I'm hoping that we have enough time to, discuss all the issues. We'll proceed and have that conversation about the Chief Justice. I don't know if you have cited, statements that she's made relative to her suspension and how she's been treated. And she describes the Puamang Committee a mockery of justice. According to her, she has been treated worse than someone who has committed treason. You know, if she looks at the kind of treatment that she's being given, you know, in this particular matter, she's being treated worse off than someone who has committed a treasonable, you know, offense. She's not happy about the entire process, and she even wants to waive that in-camera hearing that this process is supposed to go through. She wants it, you know, she wants it to be public. She wants the general public to be involved, people to know exactly what is happening as far as this case is concerned. So the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, Madame Gertrude Arabai Sabatokono, is not a happy woman, and she has said so many things about the current process, and she calls it, in quotes, a mockery of justice. Should I again start with your chairman?
I think, I don't know whether you're done with your observation.
Sure.
A very interesting country sometimes, where the weight that we give to the peripherals are more than the substantive issues that are for discussions. Justice must not be done, but it must be seen to be done. And that is all that we are calling for. What is happening here? We have the Chief Justice suspension. I'm just putting the case in context. The Chief Justice suspension. So Ghana Chief Justice was suspended over allegations of 1, misconduct, 2, corruption, abuse of office, etc. I'm sure these are the cases, issues that we know in the public domain. There's an in-camera investigation request, and that is what is, the probe is being conducted behind closed doors, and that is from the Attorney General's department, that the case should be conducted behind closed doors, and is raising concern about transparency and due process. That's what we know. And AG dismisses her. AG comes out and says, no, this case will not be held, in camera. So objected, stating in-camera process is illegal and necessary. This is what we are saddled with. The Chief Justice now dismisses and tells, no, we won't do that. In fact, I find it difficult to know what to say because I'm not a lawyer, but at least we can speak to some of the issues here. Has it been the first time having an issue in camera in our country? Or will it be the first, or will it be the second? We don't know. Several cases have been held behind closed doors. We've gotten good results. Others have also been held in public space where people have seen and have had heard. So for me, whether in camera or behind closed doors, we must have a finality to the issue. And that finality should not fuel other speculations. You know, we have been calling for judicial credibility over the period. If the probe is seen as politically motivated, for me, if it's seen as politically motivated, then it could further erode the trust that we have in our judicial system. So we have been calling for rule of law over the years. Our judiciary must be independent in terms of how they dispense justice. I want to whether support AG stance or support the woman's the CJ stance. Who should we hear? I don't know. But the issue is, it's been for some time now in camera. behind closed doors, not closed doors. When can we have finality to this case? I don't know, Bless, you have the date. When are we going to try this case? It's been hanging on our necks for long. We should move to the substantive issues. Have finality to this issue. I don't know whether its date has been set. The whole world is watching. And now, if we hold this behind closed doors, what will be the effect? If it's not behind, it's open, what will be the effect? When we have this issue being discussed all over the media space, the print media, the online, if we check the number of publications on this story, huge, countless, copious. What can we do? I don't know when the date will be set. So, our AG should be able to tell us when they will move this case. I don't know when, you don't know where the case is now. I don't know. But all the day, every day, we wake up in camera. No, I don't like camera. It should be that. I don't like this, must be that. Every day is the same. And we are getting tired.
Is the AG involved actually also? Because I know there's a committee. There's a committee that has been set, and the committee does not even involve, is not supposed to involve people who are
not party to this issue.
Yes.
So where are we now?
So
I need the issue.
The issue is that, you see, pursuant to Article 146 from 1 to 8, but I think 8 talks about the in-camera hearing, right? The committee has members, and these members are supposed to interrogate those petitions that they have been given to them vis-a-vis those who wrote the petition and their lawyers, the suspended CJ and her lawyer. And so if you listen to her affidavit, especially the second one she had deposed, if you listen to it, she said, she even complained that a man even searched her. The security man who used the thing is a man instead of a woman. Do you get it? And then she talks about the fact that the zone, that is also Castle, where they are doing it, is giving her mental torture.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's not very bad.
And that.
Yeah, that's
no, you have to read the affidavit. Yeah. I read it. I have a platform where as a law student. I don't talk about law because until I finish a professional, I won't talk about. I won't quote any article. That's how. But basically, one thing I ask as a human being is that let's not change the law to suit one person. That's I have always maintained that in my life. Do you see? You see, 1468 said it should be heard in camera. There is a wisdom of the framers of the Constitution. From my understanding could be that, you see, it doesn't matter the crimes of such a person. The cloud that they put on the person as by law cannot be sold to the public. I don't know whether you are getting. She's a chief justice for God, for that matter. And then they are also looking at high officers and so by that those who are of that category, when you are educating their matters, it should be done in camera. And there is a wisdom in that. It's just like you bring your father out and telling everybody this is what your father has done. Before, and that's commentary prof is talking about. Look, if they are going to bring it to the media, I am telling you, they will tear her into pieces. Before someone will say, Jack, the allegations are not true, you will even go home and you'll be mad. And so for me, I know, they are sitting today.
They are sitting.
Yeah, the court is sitting today. You see, there are two things running. The committee is doing their work. She's also going to the normal court system. And so, if you look at what is happening, what the Attorney General only came in is that Attorney General only came in because anything that you file against the state, the Attorney General will come to defend the state. But when it goes to the committee, the Attorney General doesn't go to the committee. And if you look at the first affidavit she has done, in her view, she's even saying that the chairman of the committee once advocated a matter that relates to the first gentleman who has petitioned the president. that there was a case that they empaneled the judge, and then it had to do with that Daniel Ofori, and so he's not qualified to sit. I don't want to go into the merits of that. Then he said Samuel Adibu happens to be somebody who was part of the old panel, but he didn't come. In fact, when you were all heard it, he didn't come. He's saying that he's not also qualified to sit. Then he also said that the other three, one professor from the University of Ghana, and then Major Flora and another, that they are. So, in fact, it is just like when she wants to help the legs of all these committee members not to sit.
One thing I'm deducing out of this, sorry if is the fact that this case will travel for a long time.
Will it?
It will not.
No, the way I'm saying things.
No, you see, so and I'm happy with the way the acting chief justice is doing. No, do you know that I think one of the risks, she's saying that the acting chief justice cannot sit on the matter.
Yeah.
No, you can't determine that. There has to be someone who is acting, and if the person, there has to be somebody who is chief justice to empanel pay the law, right?
Yeah.
So if you say the person should not do, will any of them nominate the chief justice, acting chief justice? No, the president will still nominate somebody. Do you know that? Yes. So it's like, it's complex. Where you are, if it is a normal court, it can take like several years. But this one, the committee issue is, Attorney General will go tell them that, like what he's doing today, Attorney General's matter is that the committee has done nothing wrong, and so the committee can function. Then he will then deal with them on the other substantive matter they file in court. And so the committee will still can progress their work as long as this matter today is determined. If today, I wish I go to court today. I want to see who is going to empanel the people who sit today. Because if they are able to give finality to the matter today, the committee may start or may not start. And they have already started work. You know, according to what the second affidavit, she said when she came there, they asked that the children and the husband should not join her. But you didn't see that in the affidavit.
Yeah.
Oh, in the affidavit.
Yeah, so it was part of it. Yeah.
Yes, as part of one of the leaves, she said that it is inhumane to block the husband and the child from entering there.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at issues happening before even the real issues are discussed.
No, the real issues are being discussed there.
We are spending so much time talking about the media. Well, law has some funny ways on that. That's why maybe one day when I become a lawyer, I will look at that. But it may travel.
Another issue is that, is it because the other side, she is now bringing out what she went through from the committee. She feels that the committee has not treated her fairly. And so she's looking at all the things, even the way you search her, the bodily search. You know, when you use a machine to search her, a man should have, a woman should have searched her.
Oh, she said that?
Yes. Oh, yes, this is not evident.
Wow. Very interesting.
She said that. So she said the fact that they are doing it at Osu Castle.
It's giving her mental torture.
Mental torture.
It's a security zone. They should come and do it in the court. But you see,
that is why I'm saying that.
You see,
all these peripheral issues, not substantive to the issue, we are going to have. That's why, in my estimation,
the time will travel for long.
Yeah, because some of these things. But the issue is that transparency matters here.
Yeah.
To avoid these perception biases here, I'm sure we should be able to balance confidentiality with some level of public accountability. That's the key. Confidentiality must be balanced with public
accountability, right?
That's what, just to avoid these perception biases.
Yeah, so Prof, to add to what you are saying, I think that this tells a lot of things. Remember, when when you go to court, they say the law is in the bosom of the judge.
Yeah. And
so the judge may decide. Look at when they decide sitting. Sometimes they sit and he sits as when he at will and all those things. But it's even lessons to all of us that even as justices of the Supreme Court, they have to be very mindful, even the utterances that they make, especially when it comes to adjudicating matters that affect people. Because even she herself, look at the concept, they said the law is a law. The law is a law. It's coined from what she said the last time. and that anything that you do for her, it is a law, which is a law. Yeah. And so, what I only think is that fundamentally, all human beings, are fundamental rights should be granted properly. And I also think that the court would find a way out of this. This has been done. I think one of the Supreme Court was disqualified some time ago. I think when you read legal proceedings, you realize that they went through the same processes, and sometimes there is a reason why the framers of our constitution will provide certain things. But I think that in all of this, we must be fair in dealing with people. We must ensure that whatever that we do, at the end of the day, posterity would be what will judge us, and then we should be fair. And for me, the last I spoke about something that the judiciary should not be. There should be a way that there should be checks and balances on the judiciary. Okay, there should be a way that there should be checks and balances, because sometimes, you go and you see certain judgments that are passed by courts, and then the utterances of judges, it is not something that way, but we have allowed that for the period now. And this case alone is telling us that anytime some of these matters come up, most people want to do, or they always want to find a way around it. But at the end of the day, it should not turn into political capital where people take the... And my challenge, personally, my challenge is that the former Attorney General is defending the Chief Justice. I have sat down and I thought about it. The former Attorney General. Yeah. The former Attorney General. I don't know whether you thinking the way I'm thinking. So you have worked with as a leader of the government legal system, you were working with somebody, and now the person has an issue. I think she should have gone for someone. That is my personal opinion anyway, because this is rather playing out in the minds of people, thinking that hitherto they're working together, which should not be the case. Because she should have gone for a lawyer who is independent of a political party, whether NDC or MPP. But because of that, it is also raising eyebrows from the other political parties, which could affect the case differently. That's how I feel. Because for me, there are certain times aside the legal thinking, we should allow what we call public opinion. We should be careful and be mindful of
public opinion is vital.
Very important. Yeah. If you look at our constitution, even we can talk about there is something about it's more or less like list of public opinion, where a court may take a decision based on public opinion. Yeah. Because when they realize that the public are up in terms of certain matters, they could tilt the verdict of the court. Yeah. For example, free HSL like this could be considered as part of one of the public court of opinion, that the court may only uphold some of these things if they think that it affects the public. And so you have to be very mindful about who you even involve in leading you in certain matters, because if you don't take time, someone may say that, oh, if it is Jamal, I think Jamal is this, that, and that, and we realize that there is that collusion between the two of you. And so personally, I was thinking that she could have, because initially her lawyer was a different lawyer. There was this one gentleman she was using, but she could even empanel, and I wanted to see if she's taking the case, she could even get a huge lawyers coming, but not lawyers related to political parties. Yeah. Because
and also for the fact that in the dying embers of last year, before, in the lead up to the 2024 general elections, and everything that had happened regarding the Supreme Court,
she was doing those things,
and the former Attorney General, that sort of relationship, that alleged relationship,
she was very much in the public
that opinion. No, of course.
Let's not understand my submission. Before we end this issue, and a lot of issues like. She's now going to hire a former.
Yes.
It is another room for discussion.
Yeah.
I don't want the case to be done at Dosu. Another issue. I don't want anybody to search me. Another issue. When can we settle the score? So we are having issue. But the interesting part of this whole thing is that let's extend the discussion to its extreme ends.
Yeah.
Finally, when there's that we have a finality to the case, two things will happen.
Yeah.
The CJ is cleared of no wrongdoing. We'll say victimization. If he's also convicted, we'll say the executives
Is victimization again
overstretched. So we should also look at what will happen the judgment day. I mean, when finally we've cleared her or convicted, two issues will come out. This administration must also be prepared to get a backlash, or it will be another discussions, because there will be two outcomes: either she's cleared, or
she's
found. Yeah. Right.
So for me, you see, to add to what Prof says, you see, one thing is that there is always going to be an outcome. Right? There's going to be an outcome, but the issue is that if issues are very protracted, if issues are very protracted, the outcome could be tilted.
Yeah.
As we are seeing now, we're having a sharp division in terms of political thought and then political role players, where one side stand here, another side stand here. But I think that there could be legitimacy, or there cannot be. There may not be. I seen it, and so she should be careful. For me, because in the media space, and there are a lot of things. When I read them, I have decided not to read again, because I don't always want to take certain decisions or think about some of these things in my mind. Because if you have an issue and you want to deal with such issues, it should be out of public space. But Prof, in the kind of media practices that we have, they are always going behind. And you see, some people think that once it is blown to the media, we have the opportunity to stifle, or in other words, get our way out. But some of these things, when you do that, it rather hurts the system. It hurts the system. But for me, let's see what the Supreme Court will say with respect to the affidavit that has been deposed as to whether these are meritorious or not.
Right. Hamza Suhini is a lawyer, belongs to the National Democratic Congress. Rather unfortunate that he's joined us at the tail end of the program. We have just 10 minutes to go, so maybe give him that 10 minutes to also share his thoughts on this new development. I know he would have loved to discuss the Wontumi issue. Maybe we'll touch briefly on that as well. And then the latest with the suspended Chief Justice, who has leveled some allegations against the committee. She's termed it as a mockery of justice. She's even gone the extent of saying that she's been treated as though she had committed, a treasonable offense against the country. Hamza, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Bless, and of course, good morning to my brothers in the studio and our cherished viewers out there. I must apologize for coming today late. I was determined to be on the show, even if it was for 5 minutes, because I had a prior arrangement with you. But unfortunately, another directive came from above that I had to honor. But thankfully, I'm here. You see, with regards to Wontumi, I think that I have made this point on several other platforms, that our politics has become so porous to such an extent that it has become an avenue for many people with all kinds of questionable character to begin to use our political space as a ruse to pursue their activities. And it's not just about Chairman Wontumi alone. We've seen it in a number of other cases. And these are questions we should begin to ask ourselves, whether the time has come for us to have a second look at our political processes and begin to engineer it in such a way that it doesn't become attractive to all manner of persons. It is important, because you cannot joke with state power or political power. So when the people begin to realize that even politicians themselves are not shielded from all manner of acts when it comes to the application of our laws, I'm convinced that people will resist the temptation to use politics as a ruse to pursue their illegal transactions. Blaise, before this administration came into power, I remember somewhere in 2022, the then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Abu Jinapo, had cause to issue a similar directive like Bua has done, just that he fell short of calling for the withdrawal of the licenses of Akonta Mine. What was the outcome of that particular directive? It was simply to the effect that Wuntumi and Akonta Mining were engaged in illegal mining. Full stop. Government failed to act. Today, a new government has come into office and has decided to take it a notch further by even investigating more and coming out with unimpeachable evidence that supports the assertion that the company and Wuntumi were actually engaged in illegal mining. So, for me, there is no basis for anybody to brand this as witch hunting. In any case, that was the motivation of Wuntumi. Before he joined the NPP and contested for regional chairmanship, everyone knew that Wuntumi in the Ashanti region was associated with issues of illegal mining. This is a gentleman who would go on national television showcasing gold, boasting, and yet unable to tell us the legal architecture that birthed the opportunity for him to get those goods. We entertain that fully on our media platforms. So what do you expect? You undoubtedly will get some gullible NDPP supporters to be on the streets to show solidarity, because that was his motivation for going into politics, to protect his questionable business empire, and we provided him with the political architecture. And it is important to state that if we do not stop that dangerous intrusion by all manner of characters into our political space, we risk jeopardizing the democratic stability of this country. Because we all saw what happened even last night, when he was invited on an unrelated matter, that is EOCO investigations into his transactions with Ghana Exim Bank. You see the hooliganism, the assault on journalists, things we must be condemning. That is the legacy that we are left with as a government, as a party, and as a country. And so I can understand the burden on the shoulders of this current administration in its quest to address these challenges. So, Blaise, we should not belabor that point. Let the security agencies continue with their investigations. Let them initiate prosecutions if need be. And he should be taken through the legal process of our country without fear or favor. Having said that, now to our mother, Justice Tokono, suspended Chief Justice. You see, when I read her application to the Supreme Court, praying the court to place an injunction on the activities of the committee set up by His Excellency President Mahama in consultation with the Council of State, I was left with one question on my mind. Whether indeed what she has dressed as an interpretation matter, seeking the Supreme Court to intervene, actually is an interpretation or enforcement matter of which the Supreme Court has jurisdiction, or it is a human rights matter dressed in the robe of constitutional interpretation, for which reason the Supreme Court may not have jurisdiction to entertain that matter. When I looked at it, that was what came to mind. Because if you look at the entire application, it seems to me that she's talking about her fundamental human rights. Rights to a fair hearing under Article 17 and 19 of the Constitution, equality before the law, the fact that she has been searched in her supplementary affidavit, her children are prevented entry and the husband, she's been taken to a security site. Bless. I do not think that these matters constitute constitutional interpretation for which the Supreme Court must entertain. I think that what she's seeking to do is simply to assert her fundamental human rights. And we all know, based on a litany of cases, a classical one being Pombuta and versus the General Legal Council, where the Supreme Court had or indicated that if you dress a fundamental human rights issue in the cloak of interpretation and come before the Supreme Court will resist jurisdiction, because under our Constitution, the only authority empowered is the High Court to entertain fundamental human rights breaches. And for me, that is what I see. It is simply couched in a way as if she's seeking for interpretation of Article 1468 that calls for in-camera proceedings. But in actual sense, even in her application, it is clear that that is not the basis of the application. Again, Doc made reference to the to and fro and the waste of time, and I agree. The fact that the law courts are open to us doesn't mean that we should just wake up and move to the courts at will with all kinds of absurd demands, especially considering her posture as a Chief Justice or suspended Chief Justice. When you begin to take all kinds of absurd things to the law courts, then it begs the question, the kind of appreciation of the law you had when you were presiding, even as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, and the kind of decisions you handed down. For example, bless. She is calling for a removal of one of the justices, Poaman, because in her affidavit in support, Poaman JSC in the past dealt with cases that had to deal with one of the petitioners. That is a dangerous precedent that a Chief Justice should not be calling for. Is she trying to tell us, those of us who are here around this table, that if tomorrow I go to court and Justice Tokono is the presiding judge and ruled against me, I go to court against you, Bless, and she rules against me, and tomorrow I go to court against my brother, Doc, and when we appear, the Chief Justice decides to empanel Chief Justice Tokono, I am at liberty to say that because in my earlier case against Bless, she ruled against me, so Chief Justice, she will be biased. I don't want her. What kind of dangerous precedence is that? And that's why I'm saying that it's beginning to make us question the kind of judgment she handed down as a judge of our Superior Court. Because this is basic. This is basic. What is this? What is happening in this country? Simply because Madame Tokono is taken through the Article 146 procedure, the entire judiciary of our country should come to a standstill? Or there's everything wrong with it because she is going through the process? I don't believe so. And the MPP should spare us that conclusion. Many other people have been taken through that process, including Loretta Lamte and Charlotte Osei, and also Justice Derry. So what has changed? What has suddenly changed? Is it because it has to do with Tokono? And she's complaining even about the site of the hearing. Bless, do you know that that facility belongs to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? It is a diplomatic zone. In fact, used to host respected dignitaries who come into this country. It is not a national security facility, as she has claimed. It belongs to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In any case, who is he to determine to His Excellency President Mahama and the Council of State which state asset to use to carry out such in-camera proceedings? And if you are familiar with the Castle Drive, especially the old Castle area, it should be clear to you that that is warded off in a way, serene, beautifully protected, no intrusion, better suited for such activities, especially for in-camera proceedings, outside of the public intrusion. So that choice of venue is actually even in compliance with Article 146 that calls for in-camera proceedings and the sanctity of those processes. So she must spare us her effusions and understand that her going through those processes is not the end of the world. It is possible that at the end of the day, the committee would find her not guilty. And the president would have no option than to reinstate her. So why is she behaving as though it has ended? In any case, what is the meaning of in-camera proceedings? And you, as Justice of our Supreme Court, you are not aware, bless, that in-camera proceedings means that it is not open to the public, and you want your husband and children to go in there as what? They constitute public. And so I can now understand the motivation behind her flagrant disrespect for the travel policy of justices when she decided to also go on a trip with these same people. Because to her, when it comes to her relationship with her family, no laws should regulate same, even though we have laws regulating it. We cannot continue to entertain things like that. And so, bless, let us not belabor the point. I think that the law courts are open to her, and like she has done, she can continue to go out there and take advantage of her rights. But as far as I'm concerned, I do not think that it is fair for Madam to indicate that we should come to the whole Article 146 proceedings should come to a standstill, largely because she has been denied access, or her family has been denied access to the venue. But right. That is the beauty of the law. In her own words, the law is the law.
The law is the law.
Until it is changed. This is what she has to deal with, and she should deal with it.
Right. Thank you very much. My time is up. Thank you, Hamza Suhini of the National Democratic Congress. Thank you, Professor Isaac Boedi of the University of Professional Studies. And thank you, Dr. Jamal Mohammed of the Kufuridia Technical. I always confuse Kufuridia with Takrady. Takrady. But next week, Monday, the IERPP will have a conference on MPP's 120 days in opposition. Right, so there's going to be a press conference on the MPP's 120 days in opposition. Well, that's just by the way. I'll see you tomorrow. My name is KOKU ALORMASOR. This has been the Newspaper Review segment of Good Morning Africa. Do have a nice day. Bye-bye.